KZ Guy 2 here, and this is going to be a quick video showing you how to replace the rear hub bearing on a 2010 GMC Acadia. Should be the same for Saturn Outlook, Buick Enclave, Traverse, maybe a couple others. But let me show you why we're replacing it. We got a ABS and traction light on, so if we look at both of these rear wheel speed sensors, we put it in gear. Let's take a look at the graphs, merge graph. Okay, I'm gonna start rolling and show you. Boom, you see how that blue line, that's the left rear. See how that's dropping off? Steady. It's ABS kicking in. But that means we have a bad tone ring. Alright, I'll show you my next step as we put this up in the air. Consider dropping this video a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel if this helps you. Well, you see all that rust and crud in there. That's not the problem, but on the back, the tone ring, magnetic tone ring, as I spin it, you'll see a break in it. There it is. So that's the problem. Here's a look at the new one and what that tone ring is supposed to look like. Start by zipping off your 6 22mm or 7/8 lug nuts and taking the left rear wheel off. Of course, this is going to go for both sides. Now remove T40 Torx from the rotor. And you can remove the caliper itself if you want. It's 14mm, but I'm going to just use the 22mm on the caliper bracket. You got one there and one below it. And I apologize for this camera angle, but you now have 3 18mm bolts holding the back of the bearing on. I'm going to use an impact, long extension, and a swivel to get all those from behind. The bracket bolts are actually 21, not 22. And I'll use a ratchet to get the last one. If you're lucky, your rotor won't be too rusted on there, but it's always a good idea to spray it with rust penetrant before you even start trying to get it off, and then spray the threads on this axle as well. I could tell this one's going to be real stubborn because the axle is not sliding. So your first step is to push that axle in a little bit and get it free. So spray some lube in there and a little bit of lube behind where the bearing surface is contacting the plate without getting it on the brakes, but basically around this perimeter right here. Once getting this axle to move a little bit, I was still trying to hit this with a hammer and had that lube. No luck, so I went and put the bolts in from behind. I'm sorry about this terrible lighting right now, but put them in from behind, about 6 threads, and then I hit it with the air hammer and pushed the whole thing off because it was, I was beating on it and it wasn't coming. Oh, there we go. You can see the two side by side and how bad that tone ring was on there. So yeah, it'll definitely give you an ABS light. Your next step's going to be coming in here with a wire wheel and cleaning all this corrosion off, especially on the inside here. And then once you get it all cleaned up, grease everything here too, and clean the shaft off where that rust is. I used these two. You got to be real careful with using these high speed because these bristles could hit you in the eye. Not safe. And this little cookie on there. Main surface you want to get flat and clean is this one and right inside this lip. So you can see right here we got a little bit more to go. And then the back surface here, get that nice and clean. Right here also on the backing plate. And once you get these all cleaned up, coat them in grease along with the splines. Nice light coating grease on all that. You're then going to take your backing plate, line it up here, and put your bearing, slide it over, line all the holes up, get your bolts started back up. I highly recommend on both the caliper bolts and the bearing, hub bearing, that you put some red Loctite on them. You see these originally came with Loctite. And tighten that all down. I don't have the specs on these bolts, but I'll go find you the spec on the axle torque. It's important to use a torque wrench on this because otherwise, if you whack it down with impact, you could damage that bearing. And yeah, let me get going together here. Got all those other bolts good and tight, and then 151 foot-pounds on this axle nut. You could jam a screwdriver in here or put your wheel back on and then just torque it when it's back on the ground through the hubcap. See if the screwdriver breaks. Looks good. Put your wheel back on and we're done. I've cleared out the lights, and now those two lines are nice and steady with no interference. Check this out. I'll do a turn though, so you can see the difference in wheel speed on a turn. Boom, there you go. So that's, oh, I don't know if you can see that because of the, yeah, there you go. So, all right, well, that job's done. I hope it didn't go too quick. I tried to keep it just kind of like an overview style and give you some good tips in there. Depending on how rusted yours is really how hard the job's gonna be. It's not a bad idea to maybe replace your ABS sensor while you're in there too. And if you drop this video a big thumbs up, that helps me out, or consider checking out the links down below if you want to buy a wheel bearing or a scanner. And hopefully I'll see you again. KZ Guy 2 here.